Hi guys, I'm Dana from Action Insurance Brokers. So I am the general insurance broker of our Thursday morning group. So Action, I'm going to go into it a little bit, but Action Insurance Brokers, being a general broker, we do everything from public liability, professional indemnity, and as you can see from the presentation, we do everything. So we are the jack of all trades. So when I asked the other week what you wanted me to present on, the one thing was what insurance do SME businesses need? So I thought the best way to explain that was to explain what an insurance broker actually does. And the joke in insurance is we are the jack of all trades. We're expected to know everything about everything. So just a little about me and so I've got 10 years experience, a diploma in financial services, specialising in insurance broking, been in Action for 6 years, and I am our Penrith branch manager. Action itself has been around for almost 30 years. We've got 50 staff, or over 50 staff now, and 5 offices. So one question I get asked all the time when I explain to people what I do for work is, what is an insurance broker? Surprisingly, a lot of people have no idea what we do. So generally, I will compare us to mortgage brokers. So we sell insurance for the client, we get the best policy and the best price. That's as simple as it. Being in the insurance industry, we're expected to know what the insurance market is. So the insurance market is a big group of things. So we've got insurers and underwriters, which I won't go into the details of that, but I have got insurers, underwriters, you've got us as the broker, and then the client as well. We're also, the insurance market is what type of insurance, what type of businesses the insurers like to insure. So if I had, say, a dentist, I wouldn't go to AAMI to get their insurance because I know that Amy would not want to insure a dentist. So we know what insurers' appetite is, what they like to cover and what they don't like to cover. How do we operate? So we work for the client. We do everything for them. We do not work for the insurance company. On the odd chance that we do work for the insurance company, we'll always let the client know. That's very rare. We get all the information from our clients. We will then speak with the insurer to negotiate the policies and the price, and then revert back to the client with what our recommendations are. The other big question that I get, other than what is an insurance broker, is how much do we cost? Obviously, SMEs and startup businesses, cost is a big thing. So we're always upfront. At Action and at most insurance brokers as well, it's actually free of charge to get a quote. The only time you pay a broker fee is when you take a policy out. So for all the work that we do to get that policy in place, it doesn't cost you a thing. It's only when you actually put a policy in place and you have cover is when we charge. Our broker fee is always displayed as well, so it's no nasty surprise, you know how much it is. And the amount itself depends on how much work is involved. So if it takes, say, an hour or a day to get a quote together compared to a few weeks, obviously that's going to be reflective. We also need to take into account the likelihood of a claim happening because that broker fee also plays for our claim services as well. So, yep, just contact us and we do it all. So yeah, so we do everything from start to finish. So from getting the quote to assisting throughout the year to the renewal and for the claim. So that one-off broker fee covers all of those services. Yep, so we do get commission as well. So we get commission in our broker fee. The amount of commission depends on the insurer and what we've done. So generally, they will pay us, not as a referral, but I guess kind of like that because we do the work for them and then we give them the business. Yeah, and all of that is displayed as well. So we're obviously bound by so many laws that it's always on the front page of the invoice of all of that. So how do we determine what insurance is right for a business? Obviously, there are a lot of factors, but I thought these four were probably the most important. The first one is business activities. What does the client do? We need to get as much information as we can from clients to find out what their risk exposure is and what insurance we can get for them. The example that I thought of was actually you, Suzanne, was in regards to your accounting, because you've got your business coaching and your consulting, so you're not just a typical accountant. Whereas if we were to get insurance for you, we would need to make sure that we have all of those business activities covered, opposed to say like someone next door who might just be doing the tax. So we always need to make sure that we're getting the full picture of what their business activities are. The next one is well, that's it. Like every business is so different, so you can't just label someone saying, oh, you're a dentist, you're a physio, you're an insurance broker, because people do so many things outside of that. So you need to make sure that you're covering all of your business. The next one is risk. So what is the likelihood of a claim happening? And if a claim were to happen, what type of claim and how big could it be? The next one is legal requirements. This one is pretty much just workers' comp. So if you're paying more than $7,500 in wages, legally you need to have workers' comp. And then the next one, premium. So it's not necessarily that the most expensive premium is the best and the cheapest premium is the worst. It always depends. So we have to look at coverage and what the client wants and what the client needs. But then, as I said as well, as a startup or an SME, you can't afford the best of the best policies and you can't afford to pay thousands of dollars in premium. So we do need to take that into consideration as well. Yeah. 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 Yeah, so they're still covered. So you're automatically covered by, everyone is automatically covered by workers' comp, even if they don't have a policy, they just have to back pay. But if you pay less than $7,500, and that's as a company as a whole, so not per employee, yeah, you're just automatically covered and you just pay an excess. Yep, just contact iCare. Yeah, so just contact iCare. You pay an excess and they're automatically covered. Yeah. So workers' comp is it's a bit of a magical policy, which everyone is just automatically insured. And then if you don't have a policy, you sort it out later. You'd be surprised. A lot of people forget to take out workers' comp, which blows my mind. Yeah, you'd be surprised. Yeah, you'd be surprised. And a lot of sole trade, it confuses a lot of sole traders as well, because they think, oh, I'm not a company, but they're still employing. Correct. They're not covered under workers' comp. They need, no, not at all. Yeah, so they need, sickness and accident. Yeah. So I thought I'd go through just a few examples of what type of policies. So Action Insurance is part of what we call the Steadfast Group, which is an insurance association. And they give us a lot of these tools and programs that we can use to help us help our clients. So one of this is actually, we call it Risk Advisor, I think it's called. So we can pop in an occupation and it will tell us what the likelihood of the claim is happening. Yes. So when I think, when I think of an accountant, the first thing I think of is professional indemnity. Not you, of course. All other accountants. Yes. Because professional indemnity is wrongful advice. So you think, as an accountant, the one thing you're doing is giving advice. Doesn't matter what that advice is about, that's what you're doing. So the likelihood of a claim happening for someone giving advice, which you can see up here, opposed to, say, a fire claim. The advice claim is more likely to happen. We've got in there cyber insurance. That also is a big thing, because you think you've got all of the business details, you've got all of their financials, that if someone were to, 100%, yeah, if someone were to hack into your system, you want to have some backup there with the insurer. Another one in there is the directors and officers, which is now known as management liability, which we recommend to any registered company, so any proprietary limited, because as a director of a company, you can be personally sued for any wrongdoings of that business. So you can actually get insurance to cover you for that, and it also extends to your employees as well. Yeah. And then we'll go to, say, a tradie, which is obviously the complete opposite of an accountant. So you can see that a tradie is their public liability. So your property damage and your bodily injury. You can see the workers' comp is underneath that as well, because you think of a construction site, there are so many injuries that happen on construction sites. It's unbelievable. So yeah, you can see that the top two things there is mainly in relation to your bodily injury, and then obviously you've got your property damage after that. You've got your vehicle insurance in there as well, directors and officers again, and you've also got inland marine. So even though it's called marine, it's got nothing to do with the water, it's just transit insurance. So carting your tools to and from work sites, even your supplies. So if you've got, say, building materials that you want to cart to and from site, you can get that insured as well. Next one is allied health. So with allied health, the first thing we think of is the professional indemnity and the public liability. So sometimes there can be a bit of a fine line or in a grey area, whether it's a professional indemnity claim or a public liability claim, because sometimes is it the advice or is it something that you did? So generally what we would recommend for all these types of businesses is to have them with the same insurer, because if something were to happen and there was a grey area, it doesn't really matter because the insurer is going to pay. Yeah, we'll see. Yes. Correct. Correct. Yeah. So as we say, public liability covers stupidity. Yep. Because it is. It's like, yeah. 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 So it all comes down to negligence. I had a person who was delivering groceries. He just tripped and fell over, smashed down a Christmas tree that had all Swarovski Christmas ornaments on it. But it was just a complete whoopsie-daisy. So then the insurer paid to replace all of those crystals. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so that's why, like, generally with some in IT as well, we always recommend having the public liability together, just because if something were to go wrong, you don't want any gaps in cover, and insurers fighting over saying, no, this is your claim, or no. Yeah. And then you can see down here as well, we've got the cyber insurance. So health data is the #1 thing stolen on the dark web. It is the #1 thing. So anyone holding any health data definitely needs cyber insurance, which is why we've been recommending, like with this vaccination certification, do not hold anyone's vaccination certificates. Do not, because you are technically holding someone's health data. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So both. So you can get what's called contingent business interruption. So that covers you for your supplier getting hacked. So yeah, so if you lose any money or any financial loss, you can actually insure that as well. But what can happen is your client can sue you. So you need to have insurance to pay for yourself, and then your insurer would then go to your supplier. Yeah, so it's kind of just, I guess, go along the bouncing ball. Yes. I think a lot of clients. No. Yeah. Yes, yes. As my husband says, you're just gambling. He goes, that's what insurance is. He said insurance is gambling. I think, obviously, from a risk side of view, I don't see it as over-insuring. However, you have to determine what your wants and needs are. So if you don't think that cyber is a big risk, obviously we're going to recommend it to you, but it doesn't mean you need to take it out. The only legal policy you need to take out is workers' comp. Other than that, you can operate uninsured. The risk that you do run, though, is if something happens, do you have enough money to pay for it yourself? That's the thing. We do have a few clients who choose to self-insure certain things, which is fine, because they will save up their money, or they'll have contingency plans in place so they can use different suppliers or something like that so they can continue operating. But that's all you need to consider is what are the chances of a claim happening and can you afford it if you don't have insurance. The biggest cost with claims as well is actually the legal costs. It's not the settlement cost or the loss itself, it's the defence costs. So when you were saying about if your cloud server got hacked, you would still need to pay for legal costs to defend yourself, and then it would go to the cloud server. Yeah. So to wrap it up, I just wanted to go through a few points for you to help your broker, which will then help you. So what can you do? Yeah. So what can you do to help your broker? These are the three that I wish most clients would come to me with. So being honest, do not lie to your insurance broker or your insurance company, because they will find out. And you will find out when a claim happens and they don't pay the claim. So make sure you tell them as much information as possible. You're also bound in every policy by your duty of disclosure, which means you're meant to tell the insurer anything that could impact their decision in giving you a policy. The next one is provide as much information as possible. So this presentation is the jack of all trades. So you need to tell your insurance broker everything you're doing, because we need to know how to communicate that to the insurer to get the best policy. So the better we understand your business and how you operate helps us get a better policy for you. That can also help with premium saving as well, because if we completely understand how you operate and what you do, that will help your insurer understand what their risks are as well. And the next one, which is my favourite, is please respond on time. Insurance brokers can look at anywhere between 50 to 70 renewals a month. So if you think that if you're returning your documents on the last day of the month and everybody's doing that, it doesn't give the insurer enough time to review the risk, but it also stops your insurance broker getting alternate quotes, because we can't get quotes within a day. It generally takes us, sometimes it can take us weeks, sometimes it can even take a few months. So if you respond on the last minute or the last day, it's actually impacting you getting a better policy. So if you do take anything out of this, please respond on time. Yeah, any questions, guys? Yeah, no.
Dana?
Yeah.
Just if you can repeat the question, because I can't hear anything what anyone else is saying.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yep.
Turn my video on, and then we can go around.
My question was about compliance and responsibility, because we have clients from cybersecurity point of view who think if they just take the insurance, they don't need to do anything or do very much.
Yeah, so when we get cyber quotes, we have to let the insurer know what security they have in place. So the less security you have, the higher premium it is. But it also, if you don't have security in place, you actually lose the most vital part of cybersecurity, which is the social engineering. So the fraudulent transfer of funds, which is pretty much what everybody wants and needs, because it's the biggest risk. So you definitely still need all the security you can have. So if you, even just a simple thing is dual authentication, so your multi-factor login, that reduces your chance of a claim substantially. And generally insurers, just by even having that, will reduce the premium as well. So definitely have your firewalls, your antivirus, your multi-factor, everything. No, it's massive. So yeah, absolutely massive. If you have your multi-factor authentication, it could be hundreds or even 1,000, depending on the size of your premium. Yeah, and as I said, the insurers do take that into consideration, that the less security you have, the less cover they will provide. So that's